Can you hear us, ladies? Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon, thank you. We're about to have an incredible time. My name is Sharia Jackson. I'm the senior editor of Essence. I know you might be running to the restroom, but we're going to jump in because we have a really powerful conversation with you this afternoon. This is a life unfiltered conversation. So we are here to keep it all the way real. I would love to introduce these women to you, but before I tell you what their bios say, I want to tell you a little bit about the women you're looking at. On this stage right now, you have women who have battled cancer, arthritis, eating disorders, eczema, psoriasis, did I already say arthritis, hormone imbalances, fibroids, so we are some survivors. But we're so much more than what doctors have told us about our bodies, so we're excited to talk to you about how do we live in our lives, how do we share what's going on inside of our bodies in this Instagram, snap everything, hashtag everything culture. So as mentioned, my name is Sharia Jackson. I'm the senior editor at Essence and also the author of an upcoming book, Boss Bride, The Powerful Woman's Playbook for Love and Success. Next to me is Miss Jordan Younger. She is a force. She is creator of The Balanced Blonde. She's a yoga teacher. Last night she did a class on the Upper West Side. She's from LA. She is the host of Soul on Fire, an incredible podcast, and also the author. Yeah. Did you do a yoga class too? No. Okay. And she's also the author of a weekly newsletter, Spirit Juice. Give it up for Jordan, please. Thank you. Next to Jordan, we have Nitika Chopra. She is a self-love guru. She is a chronic illness advocate. She's also the creator of Bella Life magazine. She's the host of a talk show called Naturally Beautiful on Z Living. And you might have also spotted her on QVC where she's an on-air beauty expert. So Nitika, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you. And last but certainly not least, all right. Who's got squad in the crowded scene? Where was my squad? Where y'all at? Last but not least, we have Miss Mercedes Maya Matz, who is an entrepreneur. She is a recent Howard University graduate, and some of her fans might be new fans because, ain't you?
You know.
You're supposed to keep it tucked in, Maya. But Mercedes is also, you might have seen her in your favorite drugstore. She is in the new Dove campaign with real women who are facing real skin conditions. The new campaign is Make Peace with Dry Skin, and for the Dove Derma Series product line. So please welcome Mercedes. So since we started talking about this new product line, which really is about real women with real skin conditions, talk about how important it was for you to be a part of a product and to lend your face and name to something that was shedding a light on real skin issues that women are facing, and what has it been for you to settle into your own skin?
It's definitely been a journey. It didn't come overnight. I tell people all the time that I just got comfortable with myself at 22 years old. I honestly hated the way that I looked for so long, and I was able to, be connected with women from Dove, and they really did give me like the safe space to come out and share my story. And that was just something that I was very insecure about. So me talking about it became very therapeutic for me. I think visibility is also something that is very important because I felt so alone for so long. And seeing women who go through the same thing as me as far as having eczema or psoriasis or whatever, and they having the same experiences, it really helped. So I honestly did that for all the other people who may feel scared to come out.
It's really powerful, and you're sitting next to someone who has very publicly come out about it. You have an ebook, Healing Psoriasis. It's been a big part of your messaging. Talk about, we know what it's like, and everyone in this room has gone through some type of ailment, whether it be physical or emotional, has survived some type of trauma, but talk about the decision to not only go through something like that, but to say, you know what, I want to publicly come out, I want to share my story and help other people who are dealing with it.
Sure. Well, for me, it's been something that I haven't been able to avoid in a lot of ways because it was such a huge part of my journey. I was diagnosed with psoriasis at the age of 10 and had it from the tip of my foot to the tip of my head for 16 years, and then got psoriatic arthritis later. So it just naturally fueled so much of who I am and the conversations that I was having and my outlook on life. But I would say, even with that, I've been doing what I've been doing for the last almost decade, and it's always still been something I'm really conscious about. Like, okay, how much do I talk about it? We were talking about this earlier, like I don't want to only be known as my condition. That's actually something that I work really hard to make sure that I'm not just a person with psoriasis, I'm 100 other things. So it's honestly always a balance of trying to figure out, like, how do I be of service and talk to the people that need me to talk to them, but also be healthy in my mindset and in the way that I take care of myself at the same time. So it's not something that like you just decide and then all of a sudden it's totally fine and normal and you never think about it again. It's a constant conversation that I'm having about it.
It's really powerful. And this is the Life Unfiltered conversation, so definitely please use our hashtag Life Unfiltered as you also use Blogher 18. So for Jordan, I mean, we know obviously these women have battled skin conditions which can be more physical. People can kind of see it, but you and I both have battled the types of illnesses that maybe people can't see. And before you were the balanced blonde, you were the blonde vegan, right?
Yes, I was.
And so talk about the metamorphosis you went through to change that brand, but also the internal shifts that happened for you to make that pivot.
Yeah, such a good question. So I have had the visual, the non-visual, all the things, because I do have hives and eczema and psoriasis, which we were really connecting with backstage, all three of us. And I did have a vegan food blog that was 5 years ago. I started my blog, The Blonde Vegan, and that was my whole life, was sharing vegan food and vegan recipes and vegan cleanse program, vegan clothing line, and all the while I was not very healthy. I was kind of spiraling into this obsession with juice cleansing and not fueling myself properly and just really being comfortable eating vegetables and drinking green juice. And after 1 year of having my blog, The Blonde Vegan, and starting to realize this is something that I think I need to take control of for my own health and maybe let go of this label, which was terrifying because that was a huge part of my identity, my public persona, everything. I decided I'm just going to walk away from that vegan label and change my blog name, change my business name, and also, most importantly, take care of my health and my personal choice to not necessarily label my diet. So that was a big, big shift for me. I transitioned from the blonde vegan to the balanced blonde. That was close to 4 years ago, which is hard to believe for me. And people were so supportive. It was amazing. I also had a ton of controversy and hate, but there were a lot of really supportive people. And I think it's just so important to listen to our bodies, to heal from the inside out. And I do believe that food can be our medicine. So if we are not fueling ourselves properly with that food, then it can't be our medicine. So yeah.
Powerful. And I think it's such an important conversation in this room with incredible women. Shout out to all of you with your incredible blogs and content. We see you. But sometimes you do put so much time and energy into something and then you evolve, you change, but you feel like I've created this baby that I need to keep feeding. So to allow room for that baby to shift. And to your point, being comfortable having that conversation publicly. So I would love for you each to talk about dealing with the personal part, but also how did you create the conversation to have that with your audiences or to come out publicly for people to attach whatever thing you've been through to now be seen with it?
Well, I tell Tati all the time she created this campaign that she was an angel for me because I could never talk about it. And even my mom, she always said, like, this is a teachable moment. But I was so insecure and I just wasn't ready to come out, you know? And so being on the campaign, it forced me to talk about it. And the other women helped me so much. Rena, Gail, Christine, like all the other girls, we just sat and had the conversation. Like, you know, this is what I went through. Like, even down to like sleeping on white sheets. Like, we weren't able to do that.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, and then I never posted any of my skin condition on social media until the campaign came out. And I was still a little nervous about it because I didn't know how people were gonna, you know, respond to it. But I received so much love, and now people are like, I didn't even know like you were going through that. Like, oh my goodness, and it's just been amazing.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Nitika?
Yeah, so for me, I mean, as I kind of mentioned before, I think, you know, growing up, I was teased so much, and I know we were talking about this before, I was teased so much, like called spot and all kinds of crazy things. And, you know, I was really taught by my peers to hate my body and to not like my body. And I always say that with chronic illness, sometimes you feel like your body is even telling you that you're not worthy because it's so confusing. And it can feel so heavy and not, you know, you don't feel like you totally understand what's happening. But I think over time, working on like my emotional health, my own self-esteem, you know, wanting to make sure that I love myself and was really committed to that journey, I just started like playing with it a little bit, where I would start talking to a couple of women that I met, or I would go to an event and say, oh, you know, like I have psoriasis. And then all of a sudden they're like, you have psoriasis? I have psoriasis. And it's like this thing where you start to see that you're not the only one. You're not, you know, the only person who's struggling. And whether it's psoriasis or it's an eating disorder or it's cancer or it's so many of the things that we've already mentioned, you're usually not alone, but we have to have the strength to kind of speak up and say that for other people to be able to take the first step. And I think I just really wanted to be that. I felt like I could handle it. Sometimes I'm not sure, but I think I'm doing okay. So yes.
You are. Yeah, when I first announced that I was moving away from the vegan label, I wrote this huge blog post about this is why I'm transitioning from being plant-based, and my blog crashed that day because so many people needed to see why is the blonde vegan not going to be vegan anymore. And I had one sentence in there about orthorexia, which is the eating disorder that I had developed, which is the unhealthy obsession with healthy, clean, pure foods from the earth. And that was one sentence. I had this huge manifesto about like, this is why I'm not being vegan anymore. And people took that one sentence, and I got thousands and thousands of emails in that first week saying, tell us more about orthorexia. This is something that I really relate to. And I realized when you speak out, and I wasn't going to share that very, very vulnerable personal part of the story, but I threw it in there just like, well, we'll see. Nobody's heard of that word anyway. And it turned out to be something that was so amazing because it connected me to people all over the world who were suffering from something very similar. Even if it wasn't orthorexia, it's closely tied to all other eating disorders and disordered patterns of eating and exercise and just this pressure that we put on ourselves. So kind of similar to what these ladies are saying, when you put yourself out there with the scariest thing that you think, why would I share this and tell anyone? That's what people resonate with. They appreciate that more than anything.
Absolutely. It's the authenticity. And I'll tell you, as an editor, it's always a story that people don't want to tell. It's a story the world most needs to hear. And I had to take my own advice. I would love to say I was as courageous as all these women. I don't think that I was. I was kind of pushed out of a closet of being a cancer survivor about 3 years ago. I was at my 10-year mark. And emotionally, I thought, oh, I'm past that. That's my past. And I had an opportunity when our beauty director at Essence came by my office and said, hey, we want to put you like to wear wigs and weaves. We'd love to give you a hair makeover. We'll give you some new wigs. All I heard was free nice hair. I was like, yes, sign me up. And she left my office, and I closed my office door, and I started crying at my desk. And I realized, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't remember the last time I really pampered my hair. Oh yeah, that would be 10 years ago when I went through chemotherapy and lost my hair. And I could see that even though I felt fine and had moved past it, there was still some emotional scar tissue. So yes, there are physical scars some of us may carry, but sometimes the real scars are deeper and inside. And so that was an opportunity for me to share that story. Oh, and I told the beauty director about it. She's like, oh, you should write about that. And that's what we do as editors. The worst thing that happened, you should write about that. But it's really what the world needs to hear. And Nitika, you have taken that a step further in really creating resources. But one of the things you live by is the power of radical self-love, the power of love being a way we heal ourselves inside out. So I'd love for you to start and the other ladies to join and talk about how has radically loving yourself made you healthier, and what does that look like for us to model?
Sure. So self-love is such a buzzword these days, and it's like popping a pill or something. Everyone's just like talking about self-love all the time, and it's not actually being that effective for a lot of people. I feel like a lot of times people feel the concept is really frustrating and unattainable and esoteric. But for me, my definition of self-love is being more committed to your happiness than to your suffering in every single moment.
I love that.
And
You gotta wait. Y'all gotta tweet that. Be more committed. Give it.
Yeah,
hashtag Life Unfiltered.
Yes, self-love is being more committed to your happiness than to your suffering in every single moment. And I came up with that when I was lying in bed for the better part of 5 years because my psoriatic arthritis was so bad and my bones started to become deformed in my early 20s. And I didn't have a lot of choices. I didn't have a lot of places to go. I didn't have a lot of friends. My parents were living in Hong Kong. So I had to choose in every moment. What am I gonna choose? I could totally choose to be depressed and like eat crappy food and tell myself horrible things about myself, which there were lots of times when I did that, totally being honest. Or I could choose to find a really nourishing lotion in my bathroom and just talk to my skin as I put it on, or put on red lipstick even though I'm legit the only person who's going to see it because I'm lying in bed, but I'm gonna make myself feel better, or find a beautiful journal, or one of the things I love to do is have like a love wall in my apartment with people that truly deeply love me and that I have beautiful relationships with. So you hear about these things, like we're all talking about, you know, different things that we can do every day, but what's the core? What's the core to it? It's really choosing in that moment, I love myself enough to eat this thing versus the other thing that I really want to eat. And, you know, having compassion for yourself when you don't do that all the time, because we don't do that all the time. So yeah, so that's really been my self-love journey.
I love it.
Yeah.
And sadly, we are running out of time, so we're down to our last question. Can you tweet us? Because we're tight on time. But I would love for each of you women to, in one word or sentence, answer this question, which is, in one word or sentence, what does life unfiltered look like for women worldwide, starting in this room?
Life Unfiltered, setting your own standard of beauty. Life Unfiltered.
It means being fully self-expressed.
I would say just radically loving every single part of yourself, especially the parts that you've always had the most issues with. Just holding on to those parts of you and saying, I love you, like you're so important. That would be Life Unfiltered to me.
I love that. Mine would be stretch marks and scars are very beautiful. They just show our growth, and you're still here. You're women, you're warriors. We're wounded, and we're still walking. Thanks so much for joining us for the Life Unfiltered panel.